Can you hear me?
Can't hear you. Wonder what that is.
Okay.
Let
me see.
Could be me.
I think it is you. Let's have a look.
Audio settings. What have I got here? How's that? Is that better?
I can hear you plainly, but you can't hear me.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Mostly, yes.
Well, I've been hearing you from the beginning.
Well, there you go. Well, it's probably time for me to shut up then and listen to you.
Yes. Happy New Year to you.
And to you. And to you. Have you had a good few days, week?
Yeah. Normal is normal. Nothing unusual.
You've had horrendously hot weather over there, I believe.
Oh, haven't we just? Really horrendous. And today is again another hot one. Okay. Really quite. It's difficult, and fortunately we've still got our power on, but a lot of households in WA don't have power, which means they don't have air conditioning then.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, at least we're not that hot over here at the moment. But there's a storm threatening, and our COVID's running rampant. But apart from that, so.
Yeah, I saw that you've got a storm. Is it about to break now, today or tomorrow?
Oh, it's off the coast a little bit, but it's just a little bit unpredictable. I don't think they're entirely sure what it's going to do. So, But these have a habit of either, making a run for the land, or they just peter out. So,
yeah,
we've had a bit of rain, but nothing too heavy. But,
Okay. Yeah, we could do with some rain. My goodness me. Clear skies. Hot as hell. And there's a wind, but the wind doesn't come in off the sea. So it's even hotter.
Yeah. Well, that's no good.
Yeah.
So have you still been doing your Get Set Up?
Yeah. I start tomorrow, obviously, with the new year and the new classes, and I've managed to finish, and I'm going to create 12 new classes. I decided on that, and so I've completed the 3 for Monday, and I've completed the 3 for Tuesday, and now I'm just busy with the 2 for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I've sort of taken a different approach, different ideas, different thoughts, and Get Set Up is also continue making changes, and they've got new partners yet still, and we seem to have virtually no support not that I'm looking for, not that we need support actually, but we usually got people nagging down our neck, which we don't have, and they just accept whatever classes we put out there.
Gee, that's a bit of a change, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's what it is. So I adapted a new attitude towards I think a more positive attitude, but one that was more Michael orientated, and I was sort of taking an approach of looking at things and saying, why am I here myself? What is my purpose now? Because I've now been a year with Get Set Up, and I've just been sort of churning over classes in a certain way that hasn't really followed a theme, or it hasn't followed an intent, it hasn't followed a purpose. It's just been classes, and they've evolved quite a lot. So I've decided, that somehow I've dropped the spiritual class, and because it wasn't authentic enough for me, for myself. I really wasn't sure what I was doing and why I was doing it. I could make up reasons. I probably did to you even, but it just wasn't. Occasionally I'd have a good class. Occasionally I'd have nobody in class, and so on. And then the very last one on Friday, the 31st. I had a spirituality class, and one person came in. Her name is Michelle, okay? And she came into one of my spirituality classes many months ago, and then I had to talk to her then, because she was very insecure and lacked confidence and so on. But, I realized when I spoke to her 6 months or however months ago it was, that she thinks like you and I do, from a spirituality point of view. And that she's very knowledgeable on the chakras and energy. And she's also very strong on intuition. And so we had a chat, and so I encouraged her to maybe do a Get Set Up class, with her knowledge, because clearly she was very knowledgeable. And so, yeah, it needed a bit of encouragement. She didn't jump to it because she really felt inefficient, lacked confidence, and so. But anyway, she did eventually have her first time, and then she jumped back into the class on Friday. And she said, I just want to come and thank you, okay? You are, and, she did the symbolic bow down in front of me, and she said, you changed my life. You absolutely changed my life by encouraging me to do that class. I've got my confidence back. I've done a couple of classes, and it's really, it's made a change. So I go to a spirituality church or something, and there's a person at the church there who encouraged me to take my advice, Michael's advice, okay, but I don't know what sort of conversation they had, which she then did, and she came in to say thank you, and then I got talking to her. I said, I need to, find a new approach to my spirituality class. I've killed it for January. I'm not doing it in January, I told her, as I told you. But I want to do it, but I'm not prepared to prostrate myself for the sake of having a class called spirituality. I need something to another word. Remember, you and I chatted about this, and I need another approach. I need to because people, no matter anything, if you use the word divine or spiritual, they immediately they see it as religion. Okay. And so
that's true.
And that's been the problem. And so Michelle and I were discussing it, and she totally agreed with me. Because she said when she came into my classes some months ago, she came into obviously more than one, and she said, she was the odd one out, okay, because as soon as she said something about energy and the creative, and you could see the eyebrows going up of the other people, and I would support her. That's how we, she knew that I was on the same wavelength as her, and her with me. Um, so so we had a chat, and you know, she also has now moved into something else that she historically did, and that was like she used to read the cards for people. Okay. Yep. And then her spirituality friend, or the owner of the spirituality church, said, you must stop using cards. Okay. You must do it without cards. You've got the power, you've got the ability. So that's what she's doing now. But anyway, after a 1 hour conversation with her, because she was the only one in class, and we took the whole hour to chat about it. And I said, my attitude, you know, this from now on is that I want to change the world, one pot of soil at a time. Okay. You know, and so when she had finished, as we sort of finished off, I sort of had this aha moment, possibly an aha moment, but the thought was, you know, as a class title, you know, how to be your authentic self. Okay. That has nothing to do with spirituality. Okay, in other people's minds, it has everything to do with it, but it has nothing to do in people's minds. That's what I'm saying. Because the other types of classes like journalism and meditation and 10-second meditation, they're all well attended. Okay, so anyway, we'll see. It's just a thought of the moment, and I've got the whole, well, I suppose I've got to submit February's in middle of January, but I've got 2 weeks to think about it. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I think it's a great idea. I mean, it is, you know, the issues that you've outlined are part of the challenge in which the age in which we live, you know, that preconceived ideas, people make assumptions, which then gives them confidence, but they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. So when you have a person who's very confidently talking about things they don't know what they're talking about, then that's the definition of insanity, isn't it? You
know. So. Yeah. True. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing too, you know, like just to sort of give you an example, you know, from my own perspective, I decided that I'd more out of my own interest than anything, and it is a curiosity more than anything. I enrolled myself in a Udemy course on crypto.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. So,
but based on that 1.5 or 2 hour thing you sent me, that I listened to everything.
Well, the documentary was part of the of the sparking of the interest, and I think what the documentary showed me is that I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Sure.
So I took the decision to say, okay, well, I want to go and learn a bit more about it because I'm curious. No other motivation other than I'm curious, you know. So I enrolled myself in this course, and I'm only about 20% of the way through it, but it's a very comprehensive course in the sense that he talks a lot about you know, what the blockchain is and how it's constructed and why it's constructed. You know, what was the original motivation behind it? He talks about cryptocurrencies and how to understand the differences between them, you know, and what they're good at and what they're not good at, and how to analyze them. Then he goes into, well, this is not the order of it, but then he also talks about mining crypto and how to build a computer to mine, and takes you through all of that, and spends, as I said, I'm only about 20% into it, but he's provided these resources to do a 49-step analysis of, I think it's about 10 different cryptos.
Okay.
And he talks about the NFTs, you know, the non-fungible tokens. And he talks about secure contracts. And so it's the whole spectrum of, you know, what is this space, and tries to, well, from my perspective, tries to demystify it somewhat so that I can have a better understanding of it.
Mm.
But the conflict that it immediately raised in me, and I think conflict's probably the right word, is that, you know, like for the last, well, a long time, but, you know, a concerted, conscious approach to, you know, my spiritual path in the last 12 months has been very much about, you know, seeking the truth and seeing things as they really are, and getting my head around the whole idea that, you know, the more awakened I become in a spiritual sense, you know, what does that mean in terms of how I engage with this world and all of the nonsense that this world has?
Yeah.
You know, so all of those things have sort of been swirling around. And it's only really literally been in the last week or so that, you know, that I'm absolutely steadfastly devoted to the ongoing spiritual path. But at the same time, that doesn't preclude engaging in this theatre, you know, that unfolds around us. And when I say engage with it, I mean, we live in it, you know, in this dimension, we live in it. So, but it doesn't, it's not an obstacle. In many respects, some of the nonsense propels me down the path even further, you know, like it really energizes me. But there are times though when like if I turned on the TV to watch the news or whatever, you know, within about, you know, 3 seconds, I just find myself laughing at it. It's just
yeah. I just, same with us.
You know, so it's an unusual world that we live, and I guess part of it is, and this is, you know, one of the many paradoxes of the spiritual path is when you have a realization, as best we're able to, of the immensity of the cosmos and our part in it, you know, minuscule part in the overall cosmos. You know, there's a realization that all you can do is wait, and not wait in the sense of time, but wait in the sense of a way of being, you know, for the divine to provide guidance and you know, listening and seeing how, with your greater level of spiritual awareness, as to how that manifests itself.
Yeah.
So it's exactly what you've just been saying, really, you know, except you said it much more succinctly and much more eloquently than I have. Around, you know, this, I won't use the word purpose, but for me, it's like, you know, so what is this manifestation? You know, and you know, couched as, you know, change the world one pot of soil at a time, you know. Well, for me, it's similar in the sense, but it's almost like, you know, change the world, you know, one piece of wood at a time. You know?
Right,
So,
right. Okay, yeah.
So both of them, you know, very much creation focused. You know, and very similar in many respects. But yeah, and from time to time, you know, that dialogue in the background is, oh, you know, but how's that going to change the world? You know, and my response is, "I will wait and see."
Yeah, I tell me first of all, the person who's doing the Udemy course, running it. Okay, is he the same person who wrote the article?
No, he's a
No.
different guy. Yeah.
Okay.
The guy who's running the course, he's got an interesting background, but he come out of like the big finance companies, and he owned a hedge fund for a while, and I'm not sure. He's a Canadian guy. I'm not sure what he's currently doing. Maybe teaching on Udemy. I don't know, but he seems to know what he's talking about. I mean, the resources that he's provided through the course. I mean, he's got this Excel spreadsheet that he's built, which encompasses the whole course. So it's about 26 megabytes in size. So you just go through and he's just listed resources and websites, and he's done it in the context of each country in the world. So you bring up your country and you can sort of say, okay, well, these things are legal and this is what the Australian government's doing. Or if you go to the US, this is what's legal there and this is what the US government's doing. Or you pick any country, he's done the whole lot. You know?
Yeah, I'm just, the reason I ask is aside really of who it is I'm really pleased that you're doing it, because you know, if I had the time, I would also want to do it. Okay, I think it's a pivotal part of our swing on existence at the moment, and I think there's going to be a lot more to it than just the cryptocurrency, but the blockchain, and you know, because we've alluded to the type of computer, you know, program which the quantum finance, and as I mentioned before as well, everybody seems to think it's quantum finance is about the blockchain, but you know, intuitively I know it's not. Okay, and but I guess I would need to know more about the blockchain, and
yeah, and a big part of the blockchain, in my early emerging view, is it's going to be, well, it perhaps is already, you know, the environment where you can confidently store and protect intellectual property.
Yeah, you can, and that's part of the blockchain. That was part of the article you sent me. Okay, and I understand. You know, as I said, I actually took, I don't know how many nights, just took chunks out of it because I wanted to digest it. Okay, and I was listening in the evening. I get very tired in the evening, so I didn't want to miss out. So I did it in smaller chunks, and I learned a lot from that article. Okay, oh, without a doubt. Okay, and that's why I say, you know, that it actually encouraged me to want to know more, but I had done at the time.
Yeah, I also watched another documentary called the $1 Billion Code, and basically it's very sort of focused story, basically about these two German guys. I'm just trying to think of the time frame. It was probably back in the 80s, I think. Anyway, they developed an algorithm which is, for all intents and purposes, the algorithm that Google Maps uses. They called it TerraView. I think they called it TerraView or something like that. And long story short, you know, it was at the time when Google was sort of saying, you know, one of our core values is do no evil, and they inadvertently, you know, accidentally, they met this guy from Google who was employed by Google at some convention or something, who saw their invention. And anyway, long story short, he stole it. Yeah, so Google stole the algorithm. And so these two German guys, decided to sue Google, which was almost, impossible to do. And anyway, they lost the case, because of the power and the might of, this enormous corporation. But through the court case, Google said, oh, well, we don't make any money out of Google Maps, so there is no, even if you were successful, there would be no damages. And these guys responded, they got an expert up and said, well, actually, no, because this is how you calculate the value of it to Google, and they worked out it was something like $700 billion or something it was worth to them, so. But it was just another case, where a large corporation espouses, oh, we do no evil and we're doing this for the benefit of humanity and da-da-da. But their actions were entirely bloody evil.
Yeah.
And when you see those stories, you just think, what is it within the human psyche can change someone from having all of these, pure, moral, statements of intent, and in effect do the opposite, where it just comes down to self-interest and greed. It's just incredible. It has me asking myself: is the human so fundamentally flawed that it always takes those decisions? So.
Yeah. But I think the blockchain is like, as I see it, or I sense that it's let's say on the white hat side, okay. Well,
that's the reason. That's the reason it was created. Yeah.
Yeah, and so and I guess that's the reason why you're taking the course too, and the reason I would take the course if I had the time. But I'll get fed the information from you. You see what you yeah. I haven't even had time to go and find, because when I was in South Africa, when I first got interested in the blockchain and Bitcoin, I put a bit of cash into it, and only a small amount. I haven't had time to even go and find the details about that, because I know, I knew at the time, and I still know now, that you've got to keep it safe. Again, you've got to find it. But I have changed a continent, and I have changed computers, and I have had computers and storage blow up on me. So as soon as I finish,
well, you might be independently wealthy and not know it.
Yeah, that's right. It's good. Yeah, but there was another one too that I've mentioned to you historically as well, a German one that
Carrot Gold, or
Carrot Gold. That's right. Yeah,
yeah.
I need to go and look at that as well. That I know where all the information is, so I can find that. But the Bitcoin one, I know I've got it somewhere. Even if I've got to go back on old diaries or something, I'll find it. But it's not high on my priority list at the moment, because I'm also trying to, with the whole Get Set Up, sort of create a system within my own personal environment to be able to do what I've got to do to the highest of my integrity with Get Set Up, but also to allow me extra time in the week. Okay, and and I've been working on that for a few months, and it's coming better and better, and that's why for January I'm doing what I'm doing, which actually has gone not I haven't taken steps backward, but it's been consciously part of this plan, the way I'm doing things and the way I'm storing things and so forth, that I'll be able to do classes, far more quickly. And then I'll be able to spend more time on other things. But one of the other things that I need to spend more time on is, remember you voted for Sue and I on this nanonutrients.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. And so, we had also invested just a little bit of money in that to become a founder member of that, because I really, really believed in what they're doing. And it just so gelled with me, because like the class I actually was just finishing it off this morning, realizing that probably the most beneficial herb or spice or plant on planet Earth for maintaining sort of strong, balanced health and immunity for humans is turmeric. Okay. But historically, I realized that turmeric is not water soluble, and things have to be water soluble to get into your body. And then this nanonutrients, the first thing they came up with when they spoke to me about it was, we've extracted the nutrient out of the turmeric and put it into a liquid, and it's 100% water soluble. And I thought, that's a game changer. That is an enormous game changer. Yeah. So that's why we went forward. And now I need time to put some effort into that business when they launch in Australia now at the end of January, so that I can start having like two things, because I really think that that's going to be healthy, and not only for myself, but certainly for anybody else I make aware of it. So I need that time. That's why I'm telling you that, is I actually need that time as well. And then other things to, there's a lot still in the plants, like the microgreens and things. There's so much that the world is uncovering at the moment, science is uncovering at the moment, with things like nanotechnologies, but other technologies as well. To keep up to pace with, in order to be authentic in my classes and get set up, I've got to know about. Okay.
So you need time to research. Yeah.
I need time to research, and I've been given a couple of books over the Christmas period, and that I need to read, and that, or part of that plan. So yeah, I'm just organizing myself. And I thought at one point that I couldn't care less, one of those moments. And I thought, no, everything, I've got to do things to the best of my ability. I can't shortchange myself in my classes, for example, or in my. So.
That's so true, and that's the discipline, is focusing on what's most important.
Yeah, and as long as one can stick with, and that's where the authenticity came into the name of the spiritual class too, is that it was like saying it to myself. Okay, it wasn't, it came up as under the guise of a class, but when I finished the conversation, I thought, how to be your authentic self. I guess it was probably my soul talking to me. Come on, about me, but I took it to be, that's the title of the class,
No, I think that's good. I think that's excellent.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm pleased you're doing the blockchain training.
Well, as I said, I just need to understand it better. Yeah. Or some.
Yeah, but you might, there's no harm in taking some money and investing it,
Oh, no, absolutely not. There's no harm at all. But part of it for me is, let me take a step back. When I have a conversation with people around me, of that space, it's a bit like, the religion assumption. It's like, oh, that's where you make money.
Yeah.
And that's only a very, very small part of it. very small part of it, you know.
Yes, it is. In fact, it's not even significant. Okay,
Mm.
it's a place where you can put your money for safekeeping.
Mm. Mm.
You know, because I don't think the banks are a safe place. At the, you know,
Well, not at all. I mean, and that was one of the sort of aha moments, even when I sort of, you know, viewed that documentary, is the banks haven't done anything because they don't have to.
yeah,
Forever. There has been virtually no innovation, you know. And it's just say, oh, you know, but they do this. No, they don't. You know, like when you go to a cafe and if you want to pay with your card, you know, like there's your identity on that little piece of plastic. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, how is that innovative or creative? You know, it's not. And you know, banks and countries and even some corporations, you know, are terrified of the whole crypto space, you know, because you know they're very
because of the rumors. Because of the rumors that are.
and also the fact that they can be exposed, you know, for what they're doing, you know.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You know, so that, and that's the thing with, you know, many of the cryptocurrencies is that you can trace every transaction. You know, well, of course they're not interested in that.
Yeah.
Not at all interested in that. So, but as I said, it was important for me to just try and better understand it because I felt that I was totally lost. And even as I said, I'm only 20% into the course. I have a better understanding of the terms and so on. And I guess my mind has been racing with the possibilities around it, but I've still got 80% of the course to do. So.
Yeah. Does he encourage you in the course to actually take a few bob and actually practically see what happens to it?
Yeah, there's one whole section of the course devoted to that in you know, investing you know, a few dollars, and he has this methodology about how to research where to, you know, what are the things you should be looking for and where do you invest and what's important to you, and you know, so you know, investing with integrity, you know.
Yeah.
It's the classic Plumstead methodology in action. It's like, well, why do you think that you want to do that, you know?
Yeah.
And it gets you to state, you know, write it down. Why is that important to you, you know? You know? So, like for example, you know, one of the primary purposes of Bitcoin is as a storage of value. So, do you want to buy Bitcoin? Like, is that compatible with, you know, your motivation to go and invest some money? You know, so you know, so he really does sort of drill down into it. And get you to ask yourself those questions. And there's a lot of discipline around it. As I said, he's got like 49 steps, which is to the nth degree. But you know, even if you did the first, you know, 10, would certainly apply a lot more rigor to it than, you know, than people. Well, one of his terms is like he quotes sort of Warren Buffett sort of thing, and he shows this book a fair bit where he says, you know, a data point is not a trend, you know? Which is a bit like, you know, a news headline is not, you know, indicative of what sort of investment this is going to be, you know. Just because something rose quickly overnight or crashed quickly overnight, you know, that's neither here nor there, really, you know. So, But yeah, no, it's a fascinating space. But as I said, it also had me thinking quite deeply about it from a spiritual perspective as well.
Yeah.
Because one of my sort of that nagging dialogue that we talked about last time was, was not real. So why would you even bother wasting your time? You know? But then money's not real either. You know, so, and it's something that we engage with every single day of our lives. So.
Yeah.
And it even goes to the heart of some of those big ticket issues, doesn't it? You know, like with even things like trust. Like, you know, when you viewed that documentary, you know, like trust was one of those things which just kept on popping up all the time. You know, people not trusting governments, people not trusting corporations, people not trusting the banks, people not trusting. But the whole trust issue was just there every step of the way, wasn't it? You know?
Yes, it was. Yeah. So the blockchain now does away with it. That issue.
Yeah. Yeah, and in that sense, it's a stroke of genius, isn't it? You know.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, stroke of genius. You're quite right. I mean, and where is the guy now that originally wrote that algorithm? Are you frozen? I can't hear you. The picture's frozen. I don't know if you can hear me. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?